Sometimes the person everyone overlooks is the one who sees everything. This is the story of Marcus Chen, a 17-year-old kid who spent his evenings mopping floors at one of Silicon Valley's most prestigious tech companies. But before we get to how a janitor's son brought down a billion-dollar conspiracy, we need to go back to where it all started. Marcus grew up in East Palo Alto, just minutes away from the gleaming tech campuses that dominated Silicon Valley. But for his family, that world might as well have been on another planet. His father, David Chen, worked the night shift as a janitor at Next Gen Technologies, a company specializing in AI security systems and government contracts. His mother worked 2 jobs just to keep their small apartment. Marcus was brilliant. His teachers knew it. His test scores were off the charts. But there was no money for coding camps, no connections to help him break into the tech world, and no one who took him seriously when he talked about his dreams. At Westview High School, Marcus was different. While other kids played video games, Marcus reverse engineered them. While they scrolled social media, and he studied encryption algorithms on YouTube. He learned Python at 13, JavaScript at 14. By 16, he was teaching himself machine learning from free online courses, but none of that mattered to his classmates. To them, he was just the janitor's kid. The quiet boy who wore the same 3 shirts and carried his laptop in a grocery bag because he couldn't afford a real backpack. "Hey, code boy!" Tyler Jenkins would shout across the cafeteria. Tyler's father was a venture capitalist. Tyler drove a Tesla to school. Still trying to hack into Harvard, maybe they need a janitor too. The laughter always followed, sharp, casual, cruel. Marcus learned to keep his head down. He sat in the back of every class. He ate lunch alone, earbuds in, working through coding tutorials. He became invisible. But here's the thing about being invisible. You see everything, and Marcus was about to see something he wasn't supposed to. 6 months ago, everything changed. It was a Tuesday night. Marcus's father had thrown out his back lifting boxes, so Marcus offered to cover his shift at Next Gen Technologies. His dad was hesitant. The company had strict rules, but they needed the money. "Just empty the trash, vacuum the offices, don't touch anything," his father warned. "And stay away from the executive floor. They have cameras everywhere." Marcus arrived at Next Gen at 9 p.m. The building was massive, all glass and steel, with LED lights that made it glow like a spaceship. Inside, it was eerily quiet. Most employees had gone home. Only security guards and a few workaholics remained. He started on the 3rd floor. Marketing department, easy. Empty the bins, wipe down desks, vacuum. 4th floor, engineering. This was harder. He couldn't help but look at the screens, the code, the whiteboards covered in algorithms. This was the world he wanted to be part of. 5th floor, executive offices. His father had told him to skip this floor, but the cleaning supervisor had specifically put it on tonight's list. Marcus hesitated, then pushed his cart toward the corner office. The nameplate read, James Morrison, CEO. The door was slightly ajar. The lights were off. Marcus knocked. No answer. He went in, turned on the lights, and started emptying the trash. That's when he saw it. On Morrison's desk, partially hidden under a folder, was an unlocked tablet. The screen was still on, showing what looked like an encrypted messaging app. Marcus knew he should look away. He knew he should just finish and leave. But then he saw a message preview that made his blood run cold. Confirming Phase 3. Deployment tomorrow. Target Federal Reserve Systems. Payment upon verification of access. Marcus's heart pounded. He glanced at the door. Still empty. His hands trembled as he picked up the tablet. The messages were in some kind of cipher, but the fragments he could read were terrifying. Backdoor installed in government contracts. Phoenix Protocol active. $500 million transferred to offshore accounts. FBI cannot trace the breach back to us. Someone was coming. Marcus quickly pulled out his phone and took 3 photos of the screen. His hands were shaking so badly the first 2 were blurry. The 3rd one was clear enough. He set the tablet down exactly where he'd found it, grabbed his cleaning cart, and slipped out of the office just as a security guard rounded the corner. "You're the new kid?" the guard asked suspiciously. Yeah, just filling in for my dad." Marcus's voice cracked. "Almost done here." The guard watched him for a moment, then nodded and walked away. Marcus finished his shift in a daze. He didn't remember vacuuming the last 2 floors. He didn't remember clocking out. All he could think about was what he'd just seen. NextGen Technologies, the company his father worked for, the company trusted by the government to protect national security systems, was selling backdoor access to criminals. Marcus didn't sleep that night. He sat at his tiny desk in his bedroom, staring at the photos on his phone. The messages were encrypted, but not well. It looked like a modified Caesar cipher with some custom substitutions. For anyone else, it would have been gibberish. But Marcus had spent 3 years studying cryptography for fun. He opened his laptop and started writing a decryption script, line by line, function by function, testing different key combinations. 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. His eyes burned, his fingers cramped, but he was close. He could feel it. Then, at 4:47 a.m., his program cracked it. The messages decoded across his screen, and Marcus's stomach dropped. NextGen wasn't just selling backdoors, they were orchestrating something massive. The decrypted messages revealed NextGen had embedded hidden code in security systems they'd installed for 47 government agencies and Fortune 500 companies. The backdoors gave them, and whoever paid them, complete access to sensitive data. Tomorrow, they plan to sell access to the Federal Reserve's transaction systems for $500 million. The buyer was a cyber criminal syndicate that would use it to manipulate financial markets and transfer billions. This wasn't just corporate espionage. This was economic terrorism. Marcus sat back, his mind racing. He should go to the police. But what proof did he have? Photos of an encrypted message he shouldn't have seen. They'd never believe him. He was just a kid. Plus, NextGen had connections everywhere. They did work for the FBI, the NSA, half of Washington. Who would believe a janitor's son over them? But if he did nothing, and the attack happened, Marcus made a decision. He couldn't prove the conspiracy, not yet, but he could stop it. He spent the next 16 hours doing something impossible, something his teachers said was beyond even professional hackers. Marcus Chen, the kid who couldn't afford college, who learned to code from YouTube videos, built a counter-hack. He wrote a program that would do 3 things. 1. Identify NextGen's backdoor code in the Federal Reserve systems. 2. Disable it without triggering security alerts. 3. Create a hidden log of every attempted access, time-stamped and traced back to NextGen. It was elegant. It was brilliant. And it required him to break into the Federal Reserve's network. Marcus knew this was illegal. He knew that if he got caught, his life was over. But if he didn't do this, people could die. The economy could collapse. At 9 p.m. the next evening, exactly 24 hours after he'd seen those messages, Marcus launched his program. For 3 minutes, nothing happened. Then, his screen exploded with activity, green text scrolling faster than he could read. His program had found the back door. It was disabling it. It was working. Then, a new window popped up. Security breach detected. Tracing source. They knew someone was in the system. Marcus had 90 seconds before they traced it back to him. His fingers flew across the keyboard. He deployed the final part of his program, a redirect that would make it look like the hack came from inside NextGen's own network. 60 seconds. He covered his tracks, erasing his digital footprints. 45 seconds. He deployed the logging system that would record all of NextGen's backdoor attempts. 30 seconds. He disconnected from the Federal Reserve network. 15 seconds. He shut down his laptop and yanked out the battery. Marcus sat in the dark, breathing hard, waiting for the police to kick down his door, but they never came. The next day at school, Marcus walked through the halls in a fog. He checked the news every 5 minutes. Nothing. No reports of a cyber attack. No mention of NextGen. Had it worked, or had he just made everything worse? In computer science class, Tyler Jenkins was showing off his new MacBook Pro. "My dad just invested in this sick startup," Tyler bragged. "They're gonna revolutionize cybersecurity. Not that you'd know anything about that, code boy." Marcus said nothing. He was too tired to care. But then, during lunch, his phone buzzed. An anonymous email. No sender, no subject, just a link. Marcus's hands trembled as he opened it. It was a secure file transfer. Inside were gigabytes of data, financial records, encrypted communications, source code, everything. Someone inside NextGen had leaked everything. At the bottom of the file was a note. "You stopped phase 3. Now finish what you started. They'll come after you. Be smart." A friend. Marcus stared at the screen. Someone inside NextGen knew what he'd done. Someone was on his side. But this data, It was enough to bring down the entire conspiracy. The question was, who would believe him? That night, Marcus made copies of everything. He encrypted them. He uploaded them to secure cloud storage. He sent anonymous tips to the FBI, the SEC, and 3 major news organizations. Then he waited. 2 days later, the story broke. Breaking news. Federal investigators have raided the headquarters of NextGen Technologies following allegations of cybercrime and conspiracy. Sources say the company allegedly embedded backdoors in government security systems. Marcus watched the news on his phone in disbelief. It was real. It was happening. The CEO was arrested. 3 executives were taken into custody. The stock crashed. Government contracts were suspended, but Marcus's name was nowhere in the story. The FBI credited an anonymous whistleblower for providing evidence. Marcus had done it. He'd stopped them, and no one would ever know. Or so he thought. 3 weeks later, Marcus was called to the principal's office. His heart sank. They knew. Somehow, they'd figured it out. He was going to jail. But when he walked in, he saw something unexpected. 2 people in suits. Not cops. They looked different. Marcus Chen, the woman asked. She had kind eyes. I'm Sarah Delgado from the FBI's Cyber Division. This is my colleague, Agent Park. We'd like to talk to you about NextGen Technologies. Marcus's mouth went dry. I don't know anything about... It's okay, Agent Park said gently. You're not in trouble. In fact, we think you might have saved the country. They knew everything. The night shift, the photos, the counter-hack. They'd traced the digital footprints, reconstructed his code, verified every step. What you did was technically illegal, Agent Delgado said. But it was also extraordinary. The backdoor you disabled would have given criminals access to $4.7 trillion in daily transactions. You prevented what could have been the largest economic attack in history. Marcus couldn't speak. We're not here to arrest you, she continued. We're here to thank you and to offer you something. She slid a folder across the desk. Inside was a letter, an official letter, from the FBI's cybersecurity director. It was a full scholarship to MIT, a guaranteed internship with the FBI's Cyber Division, and a letter of commendation for extraordinary service to national security. You have a gift, Marcus, Agent Park said. A gift that most people spend decades learning. We want to help you develop it. Legally this time. Marcus looked down at the letter, his vision blurring with tears. All his life, people had looked past him, ignored him, told him he didn't belong in their world. And now... There's one more thing, Agent Delgado said. She pulled out her phone and showed him a photo. It was a ceremony. The FBI director was shaking hands with someone, and that someone was Marcus's father. We've offered your father a position as head of facility security at our San Francisco field office, she explained. He accepted. No more night shifts, full benefits, and his son gets to go to MIT. Marcus broke down crying. 6 months later, Marcus Chen walked across the stage at his high school graduation. Tyler Jenkins was there, still smug, still entitled. But when the principal announced that Marcus had received the Presidential Scholar Award for Technology, the youngest recipient in history, Tyler's smile faded. As Marcus shook the principal's hand, he looked out at the audience. His father sat in the front row, wearing a suit for the first time Marcus could remember. His mother was crying happy tears. And in the back, barely visible, were Agents Delgado and Park, nodding their approval. Marcus had started as the invisible boy, the janitor's son, who everyone ignored, but he'd proven something the world needs to remember. Genius doesn't come from privilege. It doesn't come from expensive schools or family connections. It comes from curiosity, from determination, from the courage to act when everyone else looks away. They mocked the janitor's son until his coding skills exposed a conspiracy and changed everything.